What are some reasons not to venture into ownership and operation of a spinner slash cargo van? We're going to talk about that on this segment of the Gig Geezer. If this is your first time checking out the Gig Geezer, if you're a returning visitor of the Gig Geezer, hey, thanks for coming by. And if you would not mind, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Over the past several months, the reception towards the content I've uploaded has been favorable, for which I am glad, about my ownership and operation of a sprinter slash cargo van. As I've mentioned on numerous occasions, hopefully what I've shared with you has been useful, relevant, accurate, as well as realistic. Before I go any further, I want to recognize some content creators that I've been checking out over time. The first one is DOORDASH Sucks. Brian is based in the New England region, and he started his channel actually within a couple weeks before I started the Gig Geezer channel. And he's been consistent and adamant about exposing the lies, fraud, and manipulation of these gig economy apps. And for that matter, certain content creators who actually dupe people into their clickbait schemes of building their channel. He's also been consistent and adamant about fair wage for us gig workers. And Brian has a second channel that's called Gig Apps Exposed. I also want folks to know that Brian was a subscriber to Gig Geezer's channel back when the daily views were less than 100 and the total number and the subscribers numbered in less than 200. And that was exactly this time last year. Brian's been a supporter of my channel for a long time, and Brian has also given plugs for my channel many a times. And it's only right that I give plug to his channel and acknowledgement of his channel as well. The next person is someone I've checked out from time to time. His is called NOLA Grind, or New Orleans, Louisiana Grind. That's what NOLA means. That's kind of like a lot of cities in the South have certain abbreviations that people in the region understands what it means. So NOLA Grind. This guy's based in New Orleans, as I mentioned. He's a gig worker who also is, according to his profile, a professional poker player. And another interesting thing about him is that of late he's been operating he's been working his gig hustle while operating a Telsa vehicle, and that's while completing apps like DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Delivered, as well as rideshare opportunities on Uber and Lyft. The last person is another channel that I've checked out from time to time over the past several months, is the Hustling Hyena. Tony is based in Southern California. What I mean by Southern California, not Los Angeles, but farther south. If memory serves me correct, it's more like San Diego area. From the content that I've observed about Tony's channel, he works primarily DoorDash, Instacart, and Spark. We also share something in common in that we've both been Mr. Moms to our daughters. Now, the content that I'm providing in this segment of the Gig Geezer may be contrived as being a bit oxymoronic, in that I recently just gave reasons why I believe that I made the right decision about the ownership and operation of my sprinter slash cargo van. Concomitantly, and that's your $5 word for today, concomitantly, I simply feel that it's only right to share reasons why the ownership and operation of a sprinter slash cargo van may not be a good decision or a waste of someone's time. And the basis of these points is from those who've taken swipes at me over the past several months, and I've considered their rationale, and now I'm making my best effort at articulating valid reasons. What's one reason why the ownership and operation of a sprinter slash cargo van may not be a good decision? It's dealing with the unknown, the uncertainty, and the unpredictability of this type of gig hustle, or this grind. So you've done your homework and you've done your due diligence. You're about to make an important investment into a sprinter slash cargo van. Now, you happen to view someone's channel who appears like me, or who looks like me, who articulate words like me, and has a decent command of the language, and can articulate numbers with some precision, and all that sounds rather attractive about the ownership and operation of a sprinter/cargo van. But then you have the question about, are the numbers and all the things that this old motherfucker's talking about are actually accurate? Are they actually reasonably verifiable? And what about the other shit? Expenses, taxes, maintenance, depreciation, all the other shit that supposedly a lot of content creators are not so much as forthright or transparent about, which is what a lot of people want to talk about. The worst thing you want to do is be on the hook for a monthly payment or having withstood a significant cash purchase along with the monthly or quarterly insurance payment, and you have no idea how you're going to make your money. Hence, that is the reason why you view channels like mine, at least supposedly, as you're hoping that people like me will give you a realistic picture of what it's like in their market and maybe give you an idea of what you may expect in your market. So what seems to happen after a purchase like that of a sprinter/cargo van is that you seem to notice that there are more of you on the road than you actually seen prior to making that purchase. But that's natural. What happens is that you become a little more attuned to what you got, and you see more. It's like, dang, I didn't know that there were that many people who operate sprinter/cargo van. And then you begin to wonder, are all these people on gig apps? Are all these people out there booking loads and so forth? And it may not be, but you still don't know. The biggest unknown is whether you've entered into a hyper saturated situation. That's likely to be a given if you compare to what's like on the gig food delivery side. What about uncertainty? Well, the uncertainty is that, can you actually make a decent go of this? Can you actually make money? Can you actually maintain yourself? Can you actually make a living? And so if there's question about that, this may not be a good idea. Now, you had your responsibilities that you had to take care of prior to wanting to get into a sprinter/cargo van, and now you have to factor in the added expense, and you don't know if you're going to make any money to cover your existing expenses along with the new expenses. Man, it may not be worth your fucking while. And then there's the unpredictability. The unpredictability, not so much as you know that you're not guaranteed of making money each day that you go out there, but it's the unpredictability based on the money that you make. You don't know when you're going to see it. It could be daily. It could be a couple of times a week. It could be once a week. It could be a couple of times a month, or it could be, even worst case, once a month. All these create a lot of stress and a lot of uncertainty as to why you really should venture into the ownership and operation of a sprinter/cargo van. What's another reason why the ownership and operation of a sprinter/cargo van may not be worth your while? Well, there's the outlay of money. Now, you're used to a certain level of expenditure with what you're doing, and now you're looking to add this expense, as I mentioned already in another point. Add whatever the expenses are to start up a new operation. If you're not in a position to withstand that, then it's not going to be worth your while. So what I mean, a lot of us who get into what we do, we're flat out fucking broke. We get into something, and I'll give you a good example, better yet, even though this is not so much about a sprinter/cargo van. Back in 2003, I started out on my own as an insurance agent. I'd been a captive agent working for an life insurance company, making a hybrid of salary plus commission. And when that pay model went bust, I realized that, hey, it's time for me to kind of go on my own. But when I went on my own, I was fucking broke, absolutely broke. But yet I'm trying to make something happen. I'm out there every day trying to make something happen, and yet I'm broke. Still have bills to pay at home, even though my ex at the time, my wife at the time, my ex, she had a W-2. She was making good money, and so there were some things being taken care of. But you may not have a spouse. It may just be you. Can you withstand taking on it's not a cheap enterprise to venture into the ownership and operation of a sprinter/cargo van. And that's despite what you see out there, where people are saying that you could start your business for $300 or less than $1,000. They're full of shit. I've said that time and time again. Those people are full of shit. And so if you're having to put out a lot of money and you're not in the position to withstand that money, or you're not in the position to add upon what you're already doing, this is going to be a waste of fucking time and money anyway, because you're going to be sunk. You're going to be sunk in a matter of weeks or months. And so you definitely have to come into this with some type of strategy that is not only short term but long term. Short term, where you see that you need to be in terms of a break point, as to where you need to start making money, to a break point in terms of making a profit, so that you can withstand the long haul, getting beyond your first 6 months or even your first year. In fact, that's one of the things that I had to take into consideration when I started this. It was the fact that, hey, I had to figure out where's my break point. In fact, my break point is now in the month of July. As we go into August, I kind of figured that I could withstand certain things up until July, but then after July, beginning of August, I have to really step things up. And so that's where I'm at. But then, is it worth the while to go through what you go through to get there? And if you feel that it's not worth your while, then no, you don't need to be getting into the Sprinter/cargo van enterprise. Obviously, a lot of what I'm saying is tied around money. But what are two other ones that you can deal with, whereby you can kind of convince yourself maybe this is not worth your while? Well, if you've been driving a Prius, if you've been driving a Hyundai Excel or a Ford Focus or a Ford Escape or something to that effect, a Nissan Altima that's been getting you really good gas mileage, by and large, and now you get into a Sprinter/cargo van that's going to get you anywhere between 17 and 20 miles to a fucking gallon, and then you got a 25-gallon tank. That means that, at least in South Carolina, where it's based on $3.50 a gallon, just using that as a round number, 25 times 20, you're talking about filling up at $87 at $3.50 a fill up. $87 each time that you go to the pump to fill up your tank. You do that, multiply that by 3, maybe 4 times a week. So now you're talking about 3 times, you're at $262.50. Add another $87.50, that's about $350. Yeah, you got to make some fucking money. And so you don't even know if you're going to make $350 to cover all your gas. So if that is something that is reason for discomfort, no, it's not worth it. Then there's insurance. Now, while I shared on this segment of the Gig Geezer, and I went into great detail on this segment of the Gig Geezer about insurance, if you look at my situation where I am paying insurance for 2 drivers and for commercial insurance on this van, we're talking about $1,520 a month. And that number is really not out of the ball game. It's really not an outrageous number when you really start looking around and finding out what some people are paying each month for their commercial insurance, with $1 million liability and $100,000 cargo, along with $1 million policy for commercial general liability that is associated with your enterprise. You may find that while $1,500 sounds fucking outrageous, it's not entirely outrageous. And yes, you have some people whose insurance is only a few $100s a month. I wish mine was. I wish. But everybody's situation is different. It's based on a lot of factors, including your market, what state you're in. So that said, if you're looking to take a big jump with commercial insurance, if you really want to do this stuff right, now you can use your van on your personal policy. You can use your van on your personal policy, but if you're in a claim situation and they find out that you're using this van for money for commercial purposes, your policy will be rescinded. And if it isn't rescinded, you're going to get a big fucking rate up, and you'll be told, if the company does offer commercial insurance, you will have to go on the commercial side. So that's going to be a big jump in payment. So if you're not willing to take that type of take on that type of a financial responsibility, then you don't. This is not worth your while. Another thing, working out of a Sprinter/cargo van to make the money that you want. If you want to use my example, and if you want to use my recent examples, but for the most part this year, As of today, Saturday, July 22nd, 2022, I have made over $54,000 in 1099 earnings, of which over 50,000 of that has been directly related to my Sprinter/cargo van. And that said, many of the opportunity now, and one of the things that I've shared is that I have tried to transition away from gig food delivery work in terms of doing DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Instacart, and so forth. And given how folk have talked about the summer slowdown on the gig food delivery side has not affected me, because less than 20% of my total earnings have been on the gig food delivery side. So that means most of my money has been doing the roadies, the curry, the freights, and the dispatch apps. And many of the paying opportunities involves some physical labor, some lifting of heavy objects and heavy items. And so if you're not cut out for that, if you're not cut out for it, this would be a waste of your time, because you would be wanting to find something else. All that is to say, if you're not willing to lift heavy items, if you're not willing to pull and tug on some heavy items to get it done, then this is not your type of work. Now, some folk have asked me, can I have an assistant with me and all? That's your decision. That's your decision. But if you're not able to find someone to accompany you on these opportunities, then guess what? You'll be wasting your time doing this, because you won't make the money that you think you could make. You'll be passing up opportunities when you find out that you have to unload a full pallet of potting soil or mulch, or you have to lift 20 and 30 sheets of sheetrock, and those dual sheets weigh 70 pounds each. So it'd be a waste of your time. Shouldn't do it. But biggest thing, if you are afraid of stepping out, going on your own, where you have to depend on you to make things happen, it's on you to make things happen. If you are afraid of doing that, if you're afraid of making the financial investment to do things, you don't need to be doing this. Because a lot of times when people talk certain things, when people talk things when people really are going after you and saying things that are to discourage you, a lot of that is projecting, because they are afraid of making that type of a commitment. Now, there are people who may not be in the financial position to do so. And I'm not knocking a person who's not in the financial position to do so. They want to do it, but they can't. But then again, you have those who are not in the financial position, but they see somebody else taking the chances, so they try to knock that person down by talking shit to them. Well, you don't need to be in it either. The fact of the matter is that you have people who will give you grief, who will talk shit to you and about you. And they are doing this on a computer keyboard or a phone keypad or something like that. And you may even run into somebody who will talk shit in your face, okay? But the fact of the matter is that a lot of times people don't venture to do things because there's an element of fear. There's a fear of failure. There's a fear of not making the money that they think they can make, or they hope to make, or they aspire to make. There's a fear of dealing with the expenses that are involved, the responsibilities that are involved. And if you are afraid, then the pursuit of the Sprinter/cargo van is not going to be worth your time. And hopefully I have shared some things that will get you to thinking in terms of maybe not so much if you've been on the ropes about venturing into the ownership and operation of a Sprinter/cargo van, and if you're afraid, if you're worried about the costs, if you're worried about the expenses, if you're worried about the uncertain of money, if you are concerned about those things and the other things that I've shared in this particular segment of the Gig Geezer, then the pursuit of the ownership and operation of Sprinter/cargo van will be a waste of your time, and you don't need to do it. Hopefully, if you like the content that I provide in this segment of the Gig Geezer and any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane, and as always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.